is Glenn Oliveira, and I was born in Oakland, California in 1946.
So I met Glenn, I think, through the Alpha Club. He's really well known in the area for restoring and rebuilding Alfa Romeos. Probably one of the premier guys in California.
I became interested in Alphas because a couple of my roommates from college, after we graduated, lived in LA, and they had a couple of Alphas. When I went to visit them, we drove them and worked on them, and I thought, these are pretty neat little cars. So when I first started working here, I worked on all my friends' cars, no matter what they had. But that's not a very good business model. After a while, you have to have books for every car, tools for every car, and I liked working on Alphas, and so the business kind of funneled down. Any Alpha shop is going to have its own little cast of characters. The cars they're a little bit odd, and they attract odd people. I've never advertised anywhere. All my business has been from word of mouth. There's probably 4 or 5 people, even in the East Bay, that work on Alphas, and people say to me, "Can you make a living working on Alphas?" Yeah, apparently.
Glenn's shop is one of the premier support facilities for people with older Alphas. So he doesn't just work on race cars, he also works on people's personal cars. So on any given day, depending on what his schedule is, right now he's busy preparing cars for the races this weekend, but other times of the year you'll see newer Alphas in here, and so he's got customers in here that he's probably known for 20, 30 years that bring him their cars. It's a very famous brand. Alfa Romeo was one of the first automobile companies in Italy and in Europe, and one of the first racing car companies.
So in the 60s, if you wanted to drive and own a sporty car or take it racing, your choice was Italian, German, Japanese, and British. So there weren't a lot of choices. There was some real shit boxes back in the day that were not doing much. Now an Alfa is much more nimble and lighter and fun to own and drive.
These cars are very neutral handling and predictable. There's nothing goofy about the way they drive. You can drive them quickly without being out of control, because they really do handle well.
In the 70s, John Norman was a racer and Glenn was his mechanic engineer. And post that generation of guys, Glenn is a member of, we underlings, we're the next generation. We've kind of gotten dragged along, and they were racing these cars new. Now they're 50 years old, and Glenn's been keeping them alive all this time. We're just new to the idea of keeping the mark alive.
He's genuinely interested in getting young people or old people, whoever has an Alpha, into the cars and into enjoying them and not being afraid that they're going to break them or whatever, using the cars for what they're for. He's a real Alfisti.
He's really well known for being exceedingly honest, exceedingly ethical in terms of if a motor really needs something to be done, he will tell people, but if it doesn't and it can go for another period of time, he's not going to change parts or do work just to generate revenue.
Glenn is a huge resource. I mean, you have to look at what his background is. He has an engineering degree, so it's an approach to the cars that is genuinely informative. You go to Glenn's shop, and he has the tools to show you why the book is written the way it's written.
The way I kind of run this shop, I make the people work on their own car to help me, because I don't have any permanent employees. So I make them work on their own cars, and then they can see how terrible it is. I mean, how much fun it is.
You'll see 4 of us come in the shop and then post our lunch hour start fixing the latest car that's in the air, and before you know it, 3 hours have passed and all of us have wrenched away on someone's car that's been sitting there.
Glenn, he's at the races, so it gives us meaning the drivers, confidence to come to the track because he's here to help us.
You can see that all the Alphas are kind of parked together, where a lot of the other brands of cars that are at the races, they're just kind of helter-skelter. They don't really have the community that the Alphas do.
He's super helpful to anybody that has a question about him. A lot of his customers, like myself, become good friends of his. There's sort of a social circle that you kind of learn that surrounds the shop also.
Those sorts of communities are shrinking more and more. And with the internet, you can go online and you're part of a worldwide community, but face-to-face communities. Like I've got guys I windsurf with, so that's one community. Guys I play poker with, these are the guys I work on cars with.
I guess I have, in a small part, kept the Alpha community together, because if no one worked on them, they'd be gone. So by working on them, I'm kind of keeping them out on the road.
How has the shop affected the neighborhood around here?
The neighbors are constantly complaining about the noise and people racing up and down the street.
It is a unique shop. He played that down. It's really different. There's nothing like this place.